Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good everything to everybody out there. My name is Jason Weiss, and I am your host of the Ask Jason Weiss Show. I am a coach and I am an attorney. And although I am an attorney, you have not retained me today. So nothing I say is legal advice. There is no attorney client privilege. And we are here to just spread love, joy, happiness. So the reason we can spread love, joy, and happiness today is because I am honored, blessed, and so excited to have one of my closest friends in the entire world on the show today. This is my kid's godfather, Josh Gordon, who is known as a travel advisor. And he specializes in the cruising industry. I have known Josh since we were together as Gators. I watched Josh grow as a human being. I've watched Josh shrink as a human being, and just amazing things that this man has accomplished in his life. And he didn't have the traditional straight up growth pattern. He had more of like this, and that is Josh. Uh, Known him what 20 we met in 95.
95.
Yeah,
So what year is it? Yeah, so about 28 years now.
yeah, yeah. And I can say one negative thing about this man. He has the biggest heart and can't say no, and it always is there to help. And the biggest heart, and that's why he's part of my life, and I'm so blessed to have him. So we're going to talk a little bit about cruises. Today's
Sure.
show is about Come Sail Away. Josh is a music lover, so I won't even have to ask Josh, do you know who sings the
Oh,
song Come Sail Away?
I get, in the words of Cartman, I can't not sing the rest of the song if you start it.
No, we won't start. But no, what Josh does is, and I kid him about this all the time. He helps people achieve their dreams and go sail away. So what does that mean? You want to book a cruise? You can go on the internet. Sure, book a cruise. But why? Why not use somebody like Josh? So Josh, tell us what a travel advisor who focuses on the cruise industry, what does that mean for people like, oh no, I booked my cruise on the internet? Why should they contact you instead of going on the internet and doing it?
Sure. So first of all, you nailed it on the head as far as making people's dreams come true. I say it all the time. I'm extraordinarily lucky to be able to say I love what I do. Not a lot of people in this world can, and I do. Even in the last couple of years of the whole world upside down in my industry being a little strange. I'm never in the business of telling anybody they're sick, they're dying, they're broke, they're getting divorced, whatever. It's how can I make you happy? How can I make everything better? And the rewarding part is when people come home and they tell me how amazing everything was, and it's really tremendous. What I'm here for is to be knowledgeable, to be service oriented, to dot every I and cross every T and make sure that everything is perfect. I've been in business. My company has been in business for 30 years. We're a family business. I have been here for 25 years. I am now the president and CEO. My father is still here. Actually, you may hear him in the background. We jokingly say when I became CEO, he became CFO, so that I couldn't screw up the books. But he's we're all still working here together. We have a very tight knit family. All of our employees are family. But we're here to make sure everything is perfect from the moment we start to the moment you get home, that everything is done the right way. We don't charge any fees. So, other agencies do charge fees. We do not. So there is no cost to using me. Use me. Let me be your knowledge, your resource, your experience. We've been around the world. Between me, my father, my mother, and the rest of our staff, we've been around the world. We've seen these things. We've seen the ships in person. We've seen the itineraries in person. We have been through every hiccup. We've seen, every incident. Look, we work with travel insurance a lot. And if I tell you how many different examples I can give you on travel insurance, being used, everything that you may come across in the last 25, 30 years, we've been there. So we're here to make sure everything is perfect from start to finish.
Now I can attest personally. I mean, I think Josh has put my family, if not my immediate family, with my wife and kids. I think my mother-in-law and father-in-law put them on a cruise or two. My parents have been on a handful of cruises. Myself, cousins, nieces, nephews, they all know. And it's funny because my cousin who lives in New York, she calls me up. Oh, I just spoke to Josh. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. I introduced you guys. So it was great. The only thing I would fix in what Josh says is he used the word perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Josh will make your experience wow. Because perfect would be at the end of the cruise, I won everything it cost for the cruise plus $100,000 in gambling, and I don't need to declare it all. That would be perfect. But what Josh does is he makes sure it can go smoothly. It takes the worry out of it. Oh my God, it's my first time cruising. Where on the ship should I stay? I think I'm sensitive to seasickness. What do I do? Well, you ask Josh. Just like Absolutely. Ask Jason Weiss. Well, this could be Ask Josh Gordon. He will tell you what room you should stay at, what you should look at, what you can expect. The hidden treasures, the hidden gems, the things to avoid, and that's what it is. That's what an advisor does. You come to him and you say, we want to go to these places. We want to spend this amount. What can you do? And then you turn Josh loose. And he's going to come back to you and he's going to say, okay, these are the options. And you're going to pick it. Now, there's a lot of, I want to say, chatter, rumor, urban legends, whatever it is, that cruises are for older people, single people looking to hook up, or college drunks.
No, quite the contrary. I mean, look, do we get all of those things? Sure, but our majority of our clientele are families, multi-generational families. If we have the grandparents taking the grandkids and everybody else, we have couples ranging from their early 20s all the way to their early 80s, not early 90s. But we have a very, very wide range of clientele. No specific group is targeted. We have. I will tell you, look, my folks are in their early 70s. We've been cruising they've been cruising for 40 years. We've been cruising together for the last 30 whatever years. And, they started, really enjoying it in their 30s, in their 40s, and that's where Jason and I are, where we're taking our kids, we're taking our families, we're doing these type of activities. Are there, young people, look, like I get bachelor and bachelorette parties. I get, it's 50th anniversary groups. I get right now. I'm working with a group of blind veterans, that are going to be going together and doing team building activities and rock climbing and cooking classes. Like, we get a wide berth of different people who are looking forward to this experience and really take it all in for what it's worth.
And what I love the most, and I remember this from one of the first cruises that Josh helped my family book, was my father-in-law was he cared about two things on a cruise, and Josh will be able. I'm sure he'd remember, but I'm going to refresh his memory. 3 things: got to be able to gamble.
Yep.
Got to have the best food, and got to have the best alcohol. And Josh was then able to say, okay, so we're going to eliminate Disney because there's no gambling. And the time of the year you want to go, I would probably not recommend this cruise line and that cruise line. So he wound up putting us on, I think we went on Princess, because at the time, this was many years ago, best food, best alcohol, and had gambling. Yep. And that's what you don't know when you just go online and book it yourself. Oh my God, I can go on a cruise for the entire weekend for $800. Well, what are you going to get for $800? You're going to get a room that, you're sitting on top of the engine and you're not, enjoying it. You've got no window, you've got no balcony. You don't
have the facilities you're looking for. You don't have the right touches. And that's the thing is, we're here to not only answer the call at the beginning, but we're here to answer the call every step of the way. We're not a giant call center. We're a family business. So we are not, you're gonna get the same people every time. We all work together and we are a team. So you're gonna get actual humans. You're not gonna sit on hold for 4 hours like you would with maybe some of the other very large companies who may have a deep discount, but also um, focus more on their membership fees than they do on the service aspect of being there the way that we are. We find ourselves more boutique. We're a little more luxury focused, and we're here to make sure that everything is done the right way.
And again, I will attest to that. I know that the only problem I've ever had with the Gordon Group was I was going on a cruise with the Gordon Group. They were there, and I needed to find someone in the office to do something special for the Gordons and not let them know. And believe it or not, they accommodated it. When Josh got to his room, he went, "Holy cow! Like I didn't know this. You guys are so sweet." And I said, "I almost had to call your competitor." It was like Shawshank Redemption. When he got the what was it? The harmonica, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he had to get it from a competitor. So, but there
Yeah.
is no competition in my world. We go straight to Josh. That's it. You want to cruise, you go to Josh. Don't waste his time and be a tire kicker. But if you're really thinking about, hey, I want to cruise, I want to hear about it. This is the guy to advise you. This is the guy to give you the education. So, I'm gonna ask you a question about something that seems to be trending with our generation: river cruises. I know nothing about them. What is a river cruise, and what are the pluses, the minuses? So, Josh, we want to go on a river cruise. I got a wife and two teenagers. What do you think?
Sure. So it's something that has been very, very popular the last few years. In fact, when we started selling that particular segment of the market, it was something that we just knew nothing about. And my folks actually had to go experience it before we realized how wonderful it could be. So we're finding that a lot of people are sailing or visiting a lot of the same places they've seen. If we have somebody going to Europe and they've seen the Mediterranean, they've seen Rome, they've seen Barcelona, they've seen Athens, whatever, they've seen all these major cities. This is a way to travel and get into the heart of the heart of Europe, as an example, without being on the coast. So now they're getting into Budapest and Vienna and Prague and Zurich, and not Zurich, but Basel, so, which is Switzerland, and Amsterdam, and so forth. Getting deep into those type of areas where you have the ship is very small, typically 140 to 190 passengers. But they are going through the rivers. They are in port every single day. They are visiting some amazing places. They include all the excursions. They do a really nice job at taking you to places that you couldn't get to otherwise. Could you do it on land? Sure, but here you've got your hotel built in. Your hotel travels with you. You pack and unpack once. They've got all your meals are included. And some of these lines have amazing food. Really more well set up, and they're doing a nice job. So it's been a very very popular segment for us. I personally have done them in. I did one in China on the Yangtze River. I've done in Italy on the Po. And it was a wonderful experience. So it's been very very popular. Typically, it started out a little older, the crowd, and now it's starting to get younger because some of the lines are doing a really good job marketing. And it's bringing in, people in to talk about that particular aspect of cruising.
And do they offer the like the gambling and
Some of them do. Some of them do. So it depends on the ship. As an example, one particular brand, all these ships, on the Danube River, which is really the most popular for river cruising, all these ships need to be the same size. They all need to be 443 feet long. They all need to be 37 feet wide in order to fit down the rivers and through the locks and not bump into each other and so forth. And so it all depends on what they do with that amount of space. If everybody's got the same size, some lines will put on 150 passengers and some lines will put on 190 passengers. The ones with 190 passengers have more rooms and they're smaller rooms. They don't have as much going on with public facilities. The ones that are putting on 150 passengers, the rooms are larger. They have better, balconies, for instance. But they also have things going on at night. They have a little bit more nightlife. They have, small, very small, but small casinos and shows and gyms and things like that. So it's a step closer to traditional cruising.
and again, I can't stress the fact that's why you need to reach out to someone like Josh, because I wouldn't know. I hear of a river cruise. You don't want to know what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of an old boat with the
Paddle
paddle, kind
boats,
of like
yeah.
I had an
They still
Ozark.
got those too.
But that's what I'm thinking on it, and it's going like
Yeah.
this, and it's going. So again, I don't know, and I'll
Yeah.
put it to you this way: he is so patient. He works with everybody. Each of my kids, on occasion, have called Josh separately, saying that, "Hey, this is what I want to." This is where we want to go. This is what we want to do. And he came up with an entire itinerary, an entire thing. Unfortunately, COVID hit and we didn't get to go. But so that's what it is. So let me ask you, what from a customer experience, because I know you cruised pre-COVID and now you've cruised post-COVID, for some of the people that are a little hesitant to be, oh my God, I hear about all these things and all of that. What changes have you noticed to make maybe people that are a little more cautious comfortable?
They have gone through tremendous efforts. I will tell you, each of these cruise lines, and many of them are under big corporate umbrellas, but they all have these standards, these advisors, these different teams that they brought in to make sure that everything is going the right way. Initially, they were under the watchful eye of the CDC, and so they had certain standards that must be met. The CDC has since lifted those restrictions, but they did so because the cruise lines have put their protocols in place. They put their safety measures in place that they felt that the cruise lines not only met their standards but surpassed all their standards. So while they have some change, some of the initial changes have gone back to normal, as the whole world has. Not everybody's wearing a mask every day, and not everybody's the world has kind of gone back to, it's not normal, it'll never be normal, but closer to where we were before. Most of the ships have gone back to a lot of the systems that were pre-COVID, but they've got hidden things in place that you wouldn't know are happening, that are ensuring that people are safe. They're ensuring that they're limiting spread if, God forbid, there's ever an issue. There hasn't been of course, everywhere you go, there's case by case, but you're just as likely getting it now going to the mall as you are, getting on a ship. The limited amount of cases have been that they've been limited, and they have not had a significant outbreak in, knock on wood, a very, very long time, thank goodness.
It's
So,
funny because
it was
we
interesting just
cruised.
because yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say we cruised in, I think, January or February, and I just remember the guy standing at the cowboy hat in front of the top floor with the bottle of Perel, and everybody that walked in was washy 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 washy. That's what the guy would say, and it's funny because
Yeah.
we would just walk by and we'd be like washy washy. So
Washy.
washy washy. So it was
Yeah.
it was definitely funny, and I felt safe. I'll admit,
Yeah.
about the first 10-15 minutes on the ship, I was a little, but by the time we left the port, I was like, this is fine,
Yeah. Yeah.
and no one,
Yeah.
and people wore masks, so be it. I mean,
Some
look,
will, some won't. Yeah.
I went to Publix earlier in the week and someone was wearing a mask. I went to Walmart
Sure.
last week. Someone was wearing, good.
Absolutely.
You respect that.
Whatever people's comfort level, yeah, absolutely. People's comfort level, whatever everybody needs to do to feel safe for themselves or for their way of helping everybody else. That's what we're here for.
Exactly. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be breaking real quick so that we could go ahead and we have one or two advertisements and some sponsors and all of that. And then when we get back, I want to talk a little bit, and we're going to get a little personal with Josh, and he doesn't know this, a little bit about Josh's non-traditional path on how he got to where he is. And for those of you that go to college and you have a certain idea of what it is that you want, we won't get into all the specifics, but a little bit about how his path veered and where he is today. So Josh at thegordongroup.com, 1-800-382-4298, extension 206. Check him out at thegordongroup.com. You could check him out on Facebook, LinkedIn, every social media, and we're going to talk about that as well. But this is your cruise advisor, your travel advisor. This is the guy to go to anytime you want to book a cruise or hear about a cruise or do something on a ship. So we're going to break for commercial. We'll be right back, and we're going to talk about a little bit of just, little crazy.
My winding road.
The winding road.
Hi, I'm John Thomas. I want to share with you a professional products and services directory we call Going Solo Directory. And you need to check this out. If you want exposure to your business or are seeking professional product or services, this directory has it all. And that membership, for the many special features, you get the benefit of a worldwide exposure with a 40-minute video interview on an international business show showcase. All this for just one low annual fee. For more information, contact GoingSoloDirectory.com.
I always get so pumped up listening to that music in the commercial. I love it. We're here. Ask Jason Weiss, the Ask Jason Weiss show. I'm an attorney, but I'm giving no legal advice today. Nothing I say is attorney-client privileged and all that good jazz. So I am here with Josh Gordon, who is I think you're now the president, right? If that's correct.
I am.
The president of the Gordon Group. And when I said it that way, there was a little tongue-in-cheek in there, but not too much. Josh, yes, it's a family-owned business. But Josh's parents didn't just say to him, here you go, here's the business. Josh's parents made him work for it. It's the best way. And so Josh and myself, we met at the University of Florida back in 1995. Josh actually met my wife and they became friends before I met my wife. So he actually knows her about 2-3 months longer than I do. And, the three of us have been like a tricycle forever. I mean, just always there for each other, always looking out for each other. If you ever had one phone call from Regis, to call a friend, he'd be the guy, not only because he would answer and he would help, but if it's a trivia related question, he's going to know the answer. This guy has more trivia knowledge than anyone I know. He's won the trivia challenges. He does all these games on his phone. He is just like, but what I will say is when we met in 1995 at the University of Florida, Josh and like many other people had a blast. We were fraternity brothers. We did everything. And he made a decision to pursue other things. So let's talk about that, and you will share as much personal or as little personal as you want. Sure. I'm not getting into it, but we met at UF, and you made a decision to leave the University of Florida.
It was partially made for me.
Yeah, but the decision was there.
Yeah. No, the final decision was mine. And look, I went to UF and I had an amazing time. It was the time of my life, and I always say I left an indelible mark on the University of Florida. But I'm quite honest, I just wasn't studious. I was very smart, but I wasn't great at opening books. And so I ended up transferring in January of 1998. I left the University of Florida and transferred to Nova Southeastern University, which is right here in Davie, to join my family business. They needed my help, and at the same time, I needed to leave that situation because I was majoring in fraternity. I was having too much fun, and I wasn't going to succeed there. So I left UF. I transferred to Nova, where I attended I left in '98. I attended until May of 2000, and then I stopped. And I had other things going on, including the business, and then I ended up starting to date my wife, and we were dating. And in 2012, she says, "I want you to go back to school." I said, of all the things, and not that I need the degree, I have a business, and I'm okay, but I always wanted that piece of paper. And so she encouraged me and kind of lit a fire under my butt. And then in May of 2014, I finally graduated. So it takes everybody
And
1,885
and
days.
I was there, and I was there cheering and bringing flowers because we were so excited, not because of the fact, like you said, you know, lack of intelligence or lack of no, it was just the timing wasn't right. And the whole point for telling that is, look, it used to be 17, 18 years old, you graduate high school, boom, you got to go to college. And then after college, you got to go to grad school, you got to go to tech school, you got to do. This is an example of how your path doesn't have to go in a straight line. It is allowed to go like this because as he sits here today, he wasn't given, he earned his degree. He earned the title of president. He earned his place in life. And that's the important thing that I want everybody to hear. Like, this wasn't a guy who just sat back and said, oh, I have a family and they own a business and I'm going to take over. No, he earns it.
No,
And
I came here literally filing A to Z. Like I started, you know, if we had a mailroom, I would have started in the mailroom.
And look, I know January, February, we get in as much Josh time as we can in December because January and February, this guy is nonstop working, nonstop. And you know, we force him out for a end of February birthday, and that's when he can kind of like ease into it. And to watch him love something that he does is incredible. And I've said it to Josh all the time. I'm very jealous of that. There, you know, I do have more hair, so I'm not jealous of that.
Yeah, you do.
But to watch a gentleman and
trying to hold on to it.
Yeah, to watch a person do what they love every day, even when it's a bad day, he still loves it. He gets up the next morning and he's ready to do it. And that's phenomenal. And he brings that passion to helping his customers, his clients, his friends, his family book experiences. This is the best way to do it. He books people experiences. He gets them to the right situation so that they can enjoy it. Look, you're going to work an entire year, 2 years, 3 years, and you're going to save up that money for that cruise or that vacation you wanted. Why shouldn't it be exactly what you want? And you might not know what that is. 100%. You know, Josh may say, hey, look, you know, my daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, you know, she loves gymnastics. She loves dancing. She loves ice skating. Josh is going to say, you got to make sure you're on a ship with an ice rink. My Logan loves, who knows what that kid loves, everything. Food. So Josh is going to say, you got to be on the one with a Johnny Rockets. Yeah, which one has
that? That's what we all the Royal Caribbean ships since 1999. But that's what we do is I'm not just here to put you on anything. We establish relationships. I get to know you. I get to know the person and what they're all about. I get to know their passions. You know, I ask questions as we get to know each other. They may be leading questions without you even knowing, but it helps me establish what type of lifestyle you have, what may be the best fit. You know, and you know, look, I can sell the most expensive cruise in the world, but if it's not the right fit for the right person, that person's never going to come back. So, you know, we need to make sure that, you know, we do everything the right way. And that's what we're here for. You know, we really love our relationships with our clientele, who many of whom who have become friends and literal family over the years.
And that's what it is. That's what it's about. It's about, you know, making sure you get that personal touch, not just press one and, you know, do this and do that. We want to make sure that you enjoy your experience, you enjoy your thing. You know, look, God forbid, you know, someone gets sick and someone can't go on the cruise. You don't want to be stuck with, oh my God, I just spent X amount of dollars on a cruise and I can't get anything back. Well, Josh is going to tell you, you might want to think about travel insurance. Well, what kind of travel insurance is there? So let's ask that question. What is travel insurance? And what are some of the basics of travel insurance?
Sure. So we work with, you know, a couple of different vendors, a couple of different carriers for travel insurance. It is so extraordinarily crucial. You know, it's interesting because in my 25 years of doing this, I can tell you chapter and verse every single example I've had. But look, I myself became an example last year when I got stuck in Venice. I did get COVID while I was away on a trip. And I ended up with a bonus 10 days, in Venice, stuck in a hotel room. And between the hotel, between I ran out of my medications on the second day, so they got me an emergency supply of my medication between the travel back and changing the flights and this and that and so forth. But what insurance covers, God forbid we should ever need it. I always say I hope to God it's the biggest waste of money in the world because I hope it just sits there unused. It's kind of like a firefighter. You hope to God you never need a firefighter, but it will cover various different things that you may not think about. Look, it covers, for significant reasons, accident, illness, so forth. It'll cover cancellation. It'll cover trip interruption. It'll cover changing flights and things like that. If you get delayed, getting out to the trip, it will actually attempt to get you up to the trip. My biggest concern always is twofold. Number one, the insurance that we work with has a medical policy, a medical coverage up to $100,000 worth of primary medical care. Most primary medical does not cover outside the country. Medicare definitely does not. This acts as a primary up to $100,000 worth of medical coverage, as well as $1 million worth of coverage for emergency evacuation to the nearest hospital that will save your life. And if I tell you I've seen gallbladders out in Vietnam, I've seen heart attacks in Rome, I've seen broken legs in Mexico, I've seen a shot in the tush for seasickness, whatever it is, we want to make sure that you're covered. I was on a cruise and there was all travel agents and media and so forth because it was a preview cruise. And we go to dinner the first night. It was a 2-night cruise and there's travel agents there. And that night, my wife and I go back to our room and we're out on the balcony and there's a helicopter. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. And so they take a picture of the pretty new ship, like what's going on. We go to dinner the next night. One of the travel agents is not there. Well, turns out she had a stroke, and she thankfully is, like me, even on the free trips, I still take insurance for myself. But was airlifted back to Miami. They saved her life. Thankfully, from what I understand, she's doing fine. But these are the things that you never know what's going to happen. So we want to make sure that in the worst possible scenario that your hand is held and that you're covered.
And it's interesting because like one of the things that that Josh has spoken to us about in the past is when we were traveling with our kids or traveling just alone, some of the places you didn't need your passport, but you could just get on with, I think it was your birth certificate or your social security card and your driver's license, no problem. Mm-hmm. But Josh brought up a valid point. Well, what happens if God forbid, one of them gets hurt and I don't have my passport and we're in the Bahamas or we're somewhere else? I can't leave. So now all of a sudden I'm going to have my wife or my kid or my mom or my dad. They're going to leave to go get the medical attention, but I'm stuck. It's like, So again, that's something that someone who knows what they're doing advise. What does Josh get out of, and this is a rhetorical question, Josh, so don't answer. I'll answer for you. What does Josh get out of me making sure my passport's up to date and do everything? Nothing. He didn't get one.
Peace of mind.
He got peace of mind because he wants to make sure that when you're away on this dream vacation or this dream sailing or the first cruise ever, that you're going to be happy. And there's only so much he can control. So he'll control everything he can, and he tries to control a little bit more. Sometimes no, he's not allowed, but that's it. So I want to get a little personal. I mentioned trivia. Okay. You, as long as I known you, you were always that person. It was always days and weeks and I don't remember all the details, so I want you to tell it. You used to do a trivia thing where you would compete head to head against teams.
I still do.
Okay.
Every Monday I still do.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So yeah, I grew up sitting on the couch watching Jeopardy with my parents. So trivia has always been one of my passions. And I started in Gainesville. I used to go to Joe's Deli. I used to sit with a couple of our fraternity brothers, and they had this computerized version that we would play trivia on the TV, and we'd sit there for hours and just going back and forth. And it evolved into I found out there was a local a bar that had trivia going on, and so At one point, I went to a venue where I'd play on a team of 5, and we'd play against other teams, and it was always fun. It was always a great time. And then that game had ended, and I dropped my wife off at the airport one night, and I knew that there's a brewery, a local brewery, who also does trivia on Monday nights. I went by myself. I said, you know what, I'll see what I do. I'll go have fun. And that night, which was my first time playing there, I played so well that the last question is like a Jeopardy style question. You can wager up to 20 points. I said, even if I wagered everything and got it wrong, nobody could catch up to where I was in the score. So like, all right, I could do this. And I ended up winning like a bar tab that night. So not that I drink all that much, but I can use it on food and everything else. But fast forward now, that was 2016. I have played almost exclusively by myself. As my team name has gone from one man gang to I've had a couple other names that I've used, but it's been a fun experience. It's funny to watch other teams try to beat one guy. But I've taken that, this company who runs this particular league has a national tournament. So I've gone to the national tournament 3 times by myself in 2016, 17, 18. And in each of those placed in the top half of the group, which for me is I'm tremendously proud of playing as a team of 1 against 200 other teams of 5 and holding my own. But it's something that I enjoy. I try out for Jeopardy every year. I just applied last week for a brand new game show that's going to be coming out. Fingers crossed that'll something will become of that, and we'll see. Yeah, but it's just fun. I've been always it's always been a running joke that I have this wealth of useless knowledge, so it's time to put some use to my knowledge.
And he does have a wealth of useless knowledge. I will tell you that. And it's funny. I mean, he just enjoys these things. What are you still playing something on your phone? It used to be that like we would go for dinner and he and his wife would be like, hang on, we need 3 minutes because we got to do this count.
And unfortunately, that one got shut down. There's big stories about that one, the HQ, which I did well. Even that one, the first I started playing when it was in beta, and the second or third game I played, I won $50. Like just sitting here, not my office or wherever I was, sitting on the phone, pushing a couple buttons, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can do this. I missed that one, but that one there's actually news stories about the company and what happened with that. But they've done other ones online since then. And yeah, whenever I get a chance, I just randomly if it's one of the games I play on my phone is usually some form of trivia just to keep me sharp. I listen to a trivia podcast called Good Job Brain. I listen to it. They've been around for about 11 years now, and I've been listening to it. Listen to the entire series probably 10 times over, just and every time I hear something new and I learn something new, because I like to learn something new every day.
And that's one of the things. He's always learning. He's always trying to better himself. I actually did get a question posed to me. I guess one of my friends is listening, and they want to know: are you tied into any specific cruise line, or can you run the board with any cruise line that's out there?
We work with almost all of them. There are a couple that we are still, I won't say testing the waters, but some that we're still waiting to see how they do because they're newer or coming back from financial problems that they had in the past that they've since been purchased and going on to brighter futures, hopefully. But yes, we work with all the cruise lines.
Okay, because that was one of the questions. And one of the other questions was, and I don't know if you're allowed to give because this is a public forum, but do you have a favorite cruise line or a favorite cruise that you have taken?
Whichever I'm on next.
I love it.
No, we look. I enjoy all the lines I've been on. I will tell you, we do our a significant majority of our clientele, or our biggest group, is typically with lines that are at the upper end of the contemporary market, like Celebrity and Royal Caribbean, and then also going into the deluxe and premium market, like Oceania and Azamara, and then of course into the luxury brands where we work a lot with Regent and Silver Sea and Seabourn. So we do a lot of business across the board, but those are probably our biggest.
And what's been your favorite cruise?
It's such a tough question because I've been literally around the world on cruises. Yeah, it probably. And look, anytime I get to go to Italy, it's my favorite country in the world outside of here. So the experiences I've had on ships in Italy, going to the Amalfi Coast, going to Rome and Florence and Venice and Sicily and so forth. I mean, that's usually, and I've done that 4 or 5 times. Any chance I have that on a ship that's going to stop there, that's usually going to be my favorite experience.
And then what about someone like my parents, who they've been on cruises now? Now they're cruise people, not regular cruise, but they've cruised. But someone calls you up and, hey, Josh, I saw you on the show. I've never been on a cruise before. What do you recommend as my first one?
Well, it's going to be different for everybody, and that's the reason why when we talk, it's not just there is no cookie cutter. There is no, well, this should be your first cruise because I said so. No, it's everybody's different, and so I get to know you, I get to know them, I get to know the person, and then we go from there to understand what their likes, what's their wishes, what they want to see, where they want to go, what ships are going to be that market. What look, if you stay at normally at a Four Seasons, or if you normally stay at a Sheraton, and if you normally do you drive a Lexus or do you drive whatever, it's there are different aspects that we can talk about that I can better understand the right fit. Every shoe has a foot. It's, that's where we're looking. There's definitely a fit out there. We just got to get to know each other better before we can make any type of recommendation.
So we're getting towards the end, and I usually throw out my toughest question. I always save it for the end. But you know more trivia than me, so I don't think I'm going to be able to stump you with a tough question because
maybe it happens a lot lately.
I've had lawyers on, and I'm like, what's the best lawyer movie? Or I've had musicians on, and what's the best rock band ever? And I already know the answers, that you're going to say, something with Jay and Silent Bob or Kevin Smith is the best movie. And rock band is something either Kiss or Pearl Jam. So I don't know, maybe a little piece of knowledge to, some people that are out there, like, I don't know if you had a chance to, here we go. Alive or dead, doesn't matter. Male, female, binary, PC correct. You're going on a cruise. You have your own room, so we don't have to worry about things. Or you're bringing your wife and your kid. That's fine too.
Yep.
You have an attached room.
Okay.
That you're going to sit with that person at dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you invite?
Oh God. Oh, that's tough. Look, there are so many different aspects of people that I want to know about, on a personal level, on a professional level, on an artistic level. Look, could I spend hours talking to John Lennon and find out about life of the Beatles? Could I spend time talking to Kevin Smith, who, like you said, is my cinematic idol? And
Eddie Vedder, Michael Jordan,
you every single, those are all my tops. And that's
Gene Simmons, right? Not Richard Simmons, Gene Simmons.
No. I mean, look, Richard Simmons is probably fascinating too. Look, like you said, I've shrunk, so maybe he might be a good talk. But there are definitely influences in my life, professionally. And look, my father, who's I can hear his voice over my shoulder, is my personal and professional mentor and my idol, and he's the person I respect most in the world. So look, if I could just sit there and talk to my father about things that we don't normally talk about, something, some just completely different conversation and learn something new. That's probably the first thing.
And it was kind of funny because when you were talking, you had your dad on your shoulder from right back there. It looked like it was
a picture on the screen.
Good voice chirping into your ear, and your mom walked by, and it was like that was the bad voice, chirping in your ear. His parents are awesome. And here's one of the great facts: you can call up the Gordon Group and ask to speak to Jeff Gordon, the race car driver. That's not his father, but his father is the same name as that. No. You got to call the Gordon Group, and you got to ask for Josh. Josh at thegordongroup.com, 1-800-382-4298, extension 206. This guy busts his butt. There are so many stories I could tell you about how he's bettered himself. He talked about getting married. Well, he started eating seafood once he got married. He wouldn't eat any of that stuff. He would do stone crabs and he would only eat a hamburger. Now he's, partaking with the rest of us. This guy, we all put on weight as we got older. Josh is half the man he used to be, and he is healthy and happy and doing well, and that means that he's going to be on this planet a long time, which we love.
I say it all the time. My wife came into my life, and I used to say figuratively, but she literally saved my life. And I tell her that all the time. She saved my life, and she made me a better person in every single way. So and including helping me get healthy.
And Kevin Smith, if you happen to be listening, if you just happen to be listening, this is your number one fan on the planet. It's like in Bandstand where they happen to pick up and David Bowie watches the film and he texts him. So Kevin Smith, your biggest fan ever, Josh Gordon, josh@thegordongroup.com. Send him an email, send him some love, send him a high five. He's seen you speak in person. He loves you. We all love you. And that's it. So Josh, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing your insight and wisdom. If anyone ever wants to book a cruise, before you do anything, reach out to Josh @thegordongroup.com. Can't wait to cruise with you. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to hug you. Jason Weiss,
absolutely.
Ask Jason Weiss Show. Josh, thank you for being here. CC,
thank you for having me,
and stuff for goingsolomedia.com. Thank you.
Thank you, CC.
And everybody have a wonderful rest of the week. We'll see you in 2 weeks.